Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about memorable scenes. So a few days ago I checked out an episode from Vlogbrothers, and Hank was talking about things that he wished he knew when he was writing his first novel. And I thought that was kind of pretty cool, and I was pretty happy about it because there are a lot of things that he says that I actually did when I was writing my first novel. So I was like, ooh, I did it right. One of the things that he says is that you shouldn't write chronologically. And you guys who have been following me and know my work, you know how I work when I write. And that's that for me, and I think for a lot of writers, you have certain scenes that push you, that first of all make you write a novel. And these scenes are very strong, very energizing, and they don't necessarily happen at the beginning of the story. Partly it's in the beginning, some of it in the middle, some of it are in the end. And for myself, I usually write those bits first because they are the ones who really hold the story together. With that in mind, what I want to do is I want to show you the scenes from the Senthien that are important to me and that in my eyes hold really strong energy. Now, when I say I want to show you that, unfortunately we don't have a movie that I can show you, but I want to play an audiobook or the scenes from an audiobook for you, and you will see that the way my narrator, Corinne Davies, performs and the way she portrays the characters is fantastic, and it's almost as good as movie. So I hope you will enjoy this selection of the scenes. I will probably stretch this out in a few episodes because otherwise it would take too long. The first scene that I want to show you is the part where Dora finally sees Jay. Now you need to remember, until then, Dora only saw Jay in her visions. And in her eyes, she actually thought these were not visions, she thought these were actually dreams, because she thought it was impossible that she will ever meet a human. So at this point in time, a lot of things happened in her life, and a lot of things that she didn't expect, and she's on a new planet and with the natives, and she gets to know them, and because so many things happened, she kind of forgot of her original visions until that moment. I really like that part. I hope you will enjoy it.
It was late afternoon, and I was strolling along bridges, not following any pattern, simply taking one turn at a time. I was mostly looking down, seeing the forest ground through the gaps in the branches of the bridges, or looking up, seeing the clear blue sky through the crowns of the trees. Every now and then, I saw a bird flutter between the trees. The sounds of the forest were ever present. There was not one silent moment, and I enjoyed it immensely. This world was perfect, full of colors, sounds, and smells, and I tried to record all I could on my nanoprobes. I needed to see it, to smell it, to remember it after I leave. I took a deep breath and trapped the air in my lungs, savoring all the oxygen. It was not my world, but would I want to leave it? I closed my eyes. If the vision was true, if Senthien was really so ill that he needed the help of the Anas, then I had no choice on the matter. I need to leave. I opened my eyes and continued walking, assessing the map of the bridge on my nanoprobes. Tanya had said that there would be a meeting in the evening, in the clearing on the south side of the village. She had said I should come to her cottage so we could go together. But I was in a new area, and my nanomap did not show a direct connection to Tanya's place. Around me, several people were coming out of their cottages and heading in the same direction. I assumed they were going to the meeting, so I followed. "Hi, are you hungry?" I turned. "Hello, Patrick," I said, happy to see a face I knew. Yes, I am." "Good, because there's always a lot of food at the bonfire meetings. What have you been doing today?" "Tanya took me to a small lake pool in the morning. I took a bath." "Did you like it?" "Yes, a most unusual tactile experience. I would like to do it again." "There'll be plenty of opportunities, don't worry." Patrick looked at me sideways and grinned. His skin was a lot darker than the other humans I had seen, and his hair was threaded into thick shoulder-length strings. "This way," he said, pointing to the bridge on the right. "Hey, Peter! Tanya!" he shouted. Peter and Tanya turned. Peter had his arm over Tanya's shoulder, and their bodies touched sideways. They were very, very close. I couldn't take my eyes off them. This, I remembered, was called a hug, and the memory induced such a strong emotional response in me that I could barely control it. I closed my eyes. The picture burned in my memory looked exactly the same. Only the faces were different. I exhaled slowly. "You okay?" I heard Patrick ask. "I am fine." I attempted a smile. He smiled back, then he turned to Tanya and Peter. "Where's your bunch?" "Rick's here." Peter pointed to a young man in front of him. "But the others already went. They wanted to see the fire getting started." Rick turned around and waved, but just as he started walking again, he stopped to look back at me. I stopped as well, and so did others around me. "Wow, you're the new one," Rick said. "Rick," Tanya said, her eyebrows folded, her fists bolted on her waist. "This is Dora," she continued in a softer tone. "Dora, this is Rick, my 16-year-old. Patrick laughed. "When you explain it like that, it all makes sense." "Yeah, funny," said Rick, whose face didn't at all correspond to his words. "Let's move, people. We're making a jam," said Peter, and we all pushed along. People were lining up near 3 different trees that each had a way down to the ground. I took the one in the middle, while Tanya, Peter, Rick, and Patrick took the one on the right. My slow pace caused a delay on the tree I took, but no one behind me complained. However, this also meant that I lost track of my group. I continued to follow the stream of people, certain I would be able to find them at the bonfire. A few people looked at me, obviously captivated by the color of my eyes. But most of them didn't stare, and for the briefest of moments, I didn't feel like an outsider. When I got to the clearing, some 60 people were already there, sitting in a large, loose circle. The bonfire turned out to be a large pile of branches and planks of wood engulfed in a crackling fire. In diameter, it was broader than 1 IP, and the flames rose up high in the air, spurting sparks and weaving smoke into a braided river pattern against the dark sky. It was magnificent. For a while, I just stood there, transfixed by the light, the warmth, and the smell of burning wood. A few people passed close to me. One of them even lightly nudged me from behind. This brought me back to the present. Standing at the outer edge of the circle, I turned left and walked around until I found a wide spot between 2 groups of people engaged in animated discussions. The area was 3 IPs wide, and I hoped no one would sit too close to me. I took one more look around to make sure no one was standing, and then sat down, folding my legs under my body, my knees touching the dry, dusty soil. Within the next 10 passes, more people came to join the gathering. sitting in a random pattern but still forming a broad, regular circle around the fire. I found myself fascinated just by looking at the humans' faces. The fine movements of facial muscles conveyed a whole additional layer to what was being communicated verbally. And I wondered if they realized how much of their information exchange went on through this body language. The human jumpers were similar in that way too, but I could still clearly recognize them by their pale appearance and relatively fine build compared to the old Earth humans. Zema 4 had a slightly weaker gravity than old Earth, so they appeared more fragile than original humans. In uni, though, Zema 4 humans were considered one of the most physically robust species. All of a sudden, I was ripped from my thoughts, my gaze drawn to the flickering flames in the fire in the center of the circle. At that moment, while my eyes were locked on the hypnotic orange movements, I had another vision. A vision of the man in my dreams. I just see his face, part of it lit with a dim, flickering light, the other in the dark. His eyes reflect the flicker of the orange glow coming from the nearby source. Then he looks at me, and I gasp. The vision was gone. I looked up from the fire. Everyone was still in the same relaxed positions they had been a moment ago. I realized I was holding my breath, and I exhaled. I had all but forgotten about my recurring dream. So much had happened since the last time I had it. And with a sad weight on my shoulders, I realized I'd missed having this particular vision, this particular dream. I miss him, whoever he is. I smiled very slightly and raised my gaze toward a new group of people just coming into the circle, only to lock onto a pair of dark eyes reflecting a flicker of fiery orange flames. Those eyes were locked on mine, too. And they belonged to a man. The man from my visions.
So I hope that you enjoyed this first bit. Just want to mention that Nook Audiobooks is offering the Senthien audiobook with 75% off. I'll put the links below, so if you are interested and if you would like to hear more of it, you can get it really, really cheaply. I hope you like this episode, and I will see you next time. Bye!